Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss obstetric lecture and the topic is puerperium. We had discussed about the topics like labor, normal labor, where we had seen details about normal delivery, and this lecture is going to be this lecture which we are going to discuss today, that is about puerperium, that means a post delivery period. So we are going to discuss what is the normal things which we can see during this puerperium period, and also we are going to discuss the abnormal things or diseases during this period. So puerperium, it is the period after delivery or after childbirth, during which the body tissues, especially the pelvic organs, revert back to pre-pregnant state, anatomically as well as physiologically. So in short, puerperium is a post-delivery 6 weeks period where maternal system returns to pre-gravid state. So that period is called as puerperium. In this period, it is a 6 weeks, approximately it is a 6 weeks period where the maternal system returns to pre-gravid state. Especially pelvic organs, they return anatomically as well as physiologically to pre-gravid or pre-pregnant stage. Common organs involved in this puerperium are genital organs or pelvic organs mainly. So uterus, cervix, these are the main organs which needs to be returned to normal state or pre-pregnant stage. So this is about 6 weeks period. In this period, important organ which is mainly involved or changes are seen in this organ, that is uterus naturally. So changes of uterus during this puerperium period, those changes are called as involution of uterus. So involution of uterus, it means it's a process by which bulky uterus following delivery or following labor returns to normal state. That process is called as involution of uterus. It is a process where uterus returns to normal state. So that is involution. Immediately after delivery, uterus becomes firm and it becomes hard, and after that it becomes soft. Uterus is enlarged in this duration and weight is about 100 grams, and at the end of 6 weeks measurement is like pre-pregnant state and weight is about 60 grams. So from second day of delivery to 11th day of delivery, uterus or uterine fundus descends about half inches per day, and on 11th day or 12th day uterus becomes completely a pelvic organ. So half inch descent per day, from second day its shrinking of uterus starts by half inch, and after 11th to 12th day uterus becomes as a normal organ or pelvic organ, and weight is just 50 to 60 grams, and during delivery it is 100 grams, so it becomes just half. So that process of becoming a normal sized uterus is called as involution of uterus. Next organ is cervix. Cervix, during delivery it is dilated and it is open up to 10 centimeter, and after delivery or after labor it starts to closed, and within a week or within a few hours cervix becomes closed, and during this puerperium cervix becomes usually normal sized. So this is about important things or organs which are involved in the puerperium. All other things like muscles, blood vessels, endometrium, all these things becomes or returns to normal stage. Blood vessels are constricted during the delivery, they are dilated, but after that constriction of blood vessels take place. Uterine muscles also or this uterine muscular layer is usually during the labor it shows contraction, relaxation and all the changes, and after that it becomes normal. So all the changes of muscles, blood vessels and endometrium is seen in the puerperium, and it becomes pre-pregnant stage after labor. So that is about the organs. Now there is a term which is very important in puerperium, that is called as lochia. It means a normal uterine discharge for 3 to 4 weeks after delivery, and it is a blood stained thick discharge which have particular smell also. So this discharge is very common, and commonly it is seen in all the females. That discharge is called as lochia. So normal uterine discharge remains for 3 to 4 weeks, that means it remains for a month, and gradually it decreases in quantity. Initially it is more. So it is a blood tinged necrotic material. Types of this lochia, it is three types. First one is lochia rubra. That means it is a blood-like or red discharge seen immediately after delivery, and it remains for 3 to 4 days after delivery. Next type is lochia serosa. It is brown to yellowish discharge. It contains leukocytes, liquefied blood, and it starts from the 4th or 5th day of labor and remains up to 10th day. Next is lochia alba. It is a white color discharge, contains leukocyte, and it usually starts after 10th day and remains for a month or for 4 weeks. That is types of lochia. Lochia rubra, that means usually it is a blood-like discharge. Lochia serosa, it is brown to yellowish discharge, and lochia alba, it is a white discharge. White, but it is blood-stained discharge, and it have a smell also. So it is usually this normal discharge, which is called as lochia. So lochia is alkaline and it have a particular odor. Quantity is about 250 to 300 ml, and usually this discharge is normal, unless and until it have patient have fever, chills, and very offensive discharge. Lochia discharge or no, lochia is a normal discharge after delivery. Along with this, changes are involution of perineum also takes place. During delivery, perineum becomes broad, tough, but after that it becomes normal. There is also change in vagina. It doesn't mean that it becomes pre-pregnant state, but the dilatation and other things decreases. Menstrual cycle usually starts after 6 to 8 weeks after delivery. This depends on female, if a female is lactating or not, whether lactation is positive or not. So menstrual cycle regaining is depends on female, but usually it takes place after 2 months or 3 months. So these are the important things. Other general findings like pulse, BP, respiratory, temperature, all these things may be increased or during labor, but all these things becomes normal within few hours to few days of delivery. There is also blood loss. 3 to 4 kg blood loss usually takes place. Sometimes because of blood loss, HB percentage decreases. So all these things are seen in puerperium. So this is about normal puerperium. And for this puerperium, a particular treatment is not required, but proper care, proper hygiene should be maintained because of the stitches, suture, and all those things. Patient should have advised for the proper genital hygiene. Proper dressing and proper autoclave sterile pads and other things should be advised. We give antibiotic for the to avoid the infection, oral antibiotic. We give analgesics for relieving pain. Also we give multivitamins and calcium for breastfeeding, and for lactating mother it is required. So we give the supplement of iron, calcium, and multivitamins during puerperium. Also proper bed rest and rest, some little exercise and proper diet is advised for the puerperium period. Complete full diet is advised. And care of perineum, care of breast, care of urinary organs, all these things are advised. So this is about normal puerperium and the treatment of puerperium. So this is about normal things. Next is abnormal or diseases during puerperium. There are some common things which are called as diseases or disorders during puerperium, and that first one is puerperial pyrexia or puerperial sepsis. It means a bacterial infection during puerperium or during delivery or after delivery that sets as a bacterial infection, and because of this the patient may have septicemia like condition and patient have fever, that is called as puerperial pyrexia. In this condition, temperature increases by 100 degree Fahrenheit, and usually it is the fever within 8 days or within few days of delivery is called as puerperial pyrexia. Causes are usually genital infections, sometimes extragenital infection like respiratory infection or any infection, GIT infection, any other infection in body. So focus is either genital or extragenital. Commonly it is a bacterial infection. Common infection, chances of infection are by genital wound. We give episiotomy or during the handling of labor. There may be settling of this infection. So genital infections are common and they are caused by bacteria like E. coli, Strepto or Staphylococcus. And because of this, chances of infection are more commonly seen in anemic patient, diabetic patient, patient with low immunity. High risk patients are multipara patient, age group more than 35, early rupture of membrane, twins. So all these patients are on high risk factor, and usually infection settles during this period, and it causes fever, increased temperature with chills. Patient have nausea, vomiting, malaise, headache, body ache. Sometimes if it is a urinary involvement, then urinary pain or pain during urination, that is dysuria, maybe oliguria, or general complaints are seen because of the fever. Because of this, patient may have difficulty to pass urine, and also sometimes patient may have difficulty for breastfeeding also. So this condition should be easily diagnosed at time and should be treated properly. So puerperial pyrexia is very easy condition to diagnose. Patient complains of increased body temperature along with body ache, headache and other things, and easily noticed by thermometer. And if necessary, we give advice for investigations like blood, urine, routine investigation. If necessary, we have to do culture, and by that we can know the bacteria, particular focus of infection. And treatment is injectable or IV antibiotics, oral antibiotics if mild infection, analgesics for pain and other things. Multiple fluids are advised for better curing of patient, either IV fluids or oral fluids. So that is about puerperial pyrexia. Usually this condition settles with antibiotic, broad spectrum antibiotic, oral, or usually we give injectable or IV antibiotic for this condition. Sometimes if it is mild, we can give oral antibiotic, but careful monitoring of this patient should be done, because every focus is, or if the infection spreads in the body, that will be dangerous. So proper management at time is required. That is about puerperial pyrexia. Next condition or next disorder of puerperium is subinvolution of uterus. We had seen the involution of uterus. Involution of uterus means uterus returns to normal state or pre-gravid state. That process is involution. Subinvolution means uterus does not returns to normal state. That is called as subinvolution of uterus. Subinvolution of uterus is a condition where uterus does not gain its normal structure. That is called as this subinvolution. Usually it is because of this subinvolution causes are because of retained product, retained piece of placenta, membrane or any tissue in uterus. At that time uterus does not become a normal organ. And second cause is because of the uterine infection, it's septicemia like condition. In that also uterus does not return to normal stage. Also it is seen in patients with cesarean, patients with twin pregnancy, hydramniosis, uterine prolapse, multipara patients, advanced age patients. So these are causes for subinvolution of uterus. Clinical features are usually because of increased size of uterus, patient have excessive bleeding, and underlying causes mainly it is because of retention of product. So again, to remove that product, there is severe bleeding, pain and abnormal discharge, and sometimes general complaints like because of bleeding patient may have dyspnea, palpitations or weakness, giddiness. All these general things can be seen. Signs are usually general signs because of bleeding, signs of anemia or shock, and per abdomen size of uterus is enlarged. Depending on the days of puerperium, uterus does not recedes to its normal state, that is descents of uterus half inch per day is our normal criteria. But in this condition uterus does not descends by half inch per day. It remains as a pregnant uterus or enlarged size uterus, and it is slightly hard in tendency. PSP examination we can see blood bleeding or blood clots, and size of uterus is enlarged. So this is about subinvolution. Treatment, if necessary we do investigation, blood urine investigation, USG if necessary. And treatment of the subinvolution is underlying causes mainly it is retained product. So We have to take the patient on delivery table and proper examination of patient, and we have to curate the uterine cavity, exploration of uterus and cleaning of uterus, and removing the retained product in the uterus. That is the treatment for subinvolution. Antibiotics are also given to avoid infections. This curating or this removal of product is always done with the help of injection oxytocin, injection methargin and IV fluid. Why we give injection oxytocin? To induce the uterine contractions, because uterine contractions are seen only during labor as a normal phenomenon because of the secretion of oxytocin from maternal pituitary. But for these conditions, pituitary of mother does not secrete oxytocin naturally, so we have to give oxytocin and we have to induce artificial uterine contractions so that the products will separate from the uterus, so we can remove them easily. So whenever we have to do the procedure to remove the product which are removed in uterus, which are retained in the uterus, we have to take help for the injection oxytocin and injection methargin. By the influence of oxytocin, mild contractions will start, and whatever products which are stick to that uterine wall, they will be easily separated and we can remove them. So the procedure is done and products are removed. If bleeding does not stops even after this curating, then we have to think for any other procedure. We have to do the investigations, and if there is any underlying injury or rupture of any part, then we have to take a surgical decision. Sometimes it is because of the atonic uterus, age factor, multiparity, twins and other things. At that time, whenever we give injection oxytocin, naturally the tone of uterus is usually big uterus becomes normal tone, and there is bleeding stops after that. So this is about subinvolution. Next is thrombosis. After delivery, thrombosis and embolism usually takes place, and thrombosis is seen in the patients, and thrombosis and embolism are the complications which usually develops and they leads to maternal death. So they should be carefully monitored. Thrombosis usually takes place because increased blood coagulability after delivery. Coagulation of blood easily takes place after delivery. It is a normal phenomenon after delivery. Bleeding time is decreased and clotting time is increased. So coagulation usually takes place easily after labor in every female. So chances of thrombosis are increased. So there may be chance of thrombosis because of this, and sometimes it is because of the venous stasis, and usually this thrombosis settles and lower extremities are involved, and there is edema, pain on the lower extremity, edema on foot usually develops. We do investigation ultrasound, a color Doppler we do to diagnose the thrombosis. Usually it is seen on the lower extremities, and if we diagnose it, we can give anticoagulants and we can remove that thrombose by giving anticoagulants like heparin injection we give, so that thrombosis can be removed. Proper exercise is advised. Embolism is a condition which needs immediate treatment, but this condition is again very difficult to diagnose. We had discussed about this embolism in complication of labor. So pulmonary embolism is seen during puerperium. It is because of the fluid or some tissues. Amniotic fluid embolism usually takes place in puerperium, and because of this embolism, cardiac failure and death takes place. Other complications during puerperium are breast complications. There may be engorgement of breast, cracked nipples, retracted nipples, maybe mastitis, infection in the breast abscess. These conditions can be associated with the lactation problem. And if breast complications are there, if there is infection, mastitis or breast abscess, patient have fever, chills, pain in breast, redness of breast, there will be difficulty during breastfeeding. So these complaints can be seen on examination. Breast, if there is infection, breasts are enlarged, edema, redness and increased body temperature. Clinical features are usually breast complication is easily diagnosed because patient is very much easily she can diagnose her condition because of during breastfeeding she have those pain, and she may diagnose it, and she will complain of these things, and it needs simple examination. On local examination only we can diagnose the condition. Usually because of the improper hygiene, infection can settles in puerperium period. Breast abscess or mastitis can be seen. Investigations, it does not require particular investigation, but treatment for cracked nipple, engorged breast and other things, we can give proper local ointments and other things. If infection, mastitis or breast abscess, we have to give antibiotic, oral or injectable, and we have to advise for the proper technique of breastfeeding. So that is about the complications of puerperium. In the puerperium, usually we have to first of all clear the period, that is 6 weeks period after delivery. That period is called as puerperial period, and in this period all the organs, pelvic organs, genital organs, they become pre-gravid state, they returns to their normal state. So that period is puerperium, and all the important organs involved are uterus, cervix and genital organs or pelvic organs. There is a term which is important in the puerperium is lochia, that is normal uterine discharge after delivery. It have 3 types: lochia rubra, serosa and alba. Contains different material. Those things which have to be discharged from the uterine cavity, they are discharged in the lochia. So initially it is red color, then it becomes brown to yellow color, and then it becomes white color. And it is usually non-infectious discharge, but it have a smell, particular smell is there. And menstrual cycle returns after 2 to 3 months, depending on patient. So these changes takes place after delivery. Perineum changes, vagina changes, all other changes also simultaneously take place. Uterine muscles, they also recedes to their normal state. Blood vessels, endometrial things, all these changes are seen in the puerperium period. And slowly each and every organ that becomes to pre-gravid stage. So that is about puerperium. It does not require any particular treatment unless and until patient is having any disorder. It just requires proper rest, exercise, supplements of vitamin, calcium, and proper guidance about hygiene to maintain proper hygiene. So this is about puerperium. But if there are some abnormalities like puerperial fever or pyrexia, subinvolution, that means uterus is as enlarged as during pregnancy, that is subinvolution of uterus. It does not descends or does not returns to normal state, that is subinvolution. So condition like pyrexia, subinvolution, thrombosis, breast complications, these conditions have to be carefully examined and diagnosed and treated. Pyrexia is usually because of infection. Generally, this infection is during labor or after delivery. A bacterial infection needs proper or broad spectrum antibiotic, IV fluids, and it subsides. Subinvolution, it is because of the retained products or sometimes because of age factor, multiparity, multiple pregnancy, twin pregnancy, hydramniosis. Uterus lost its tone, or sometimes products are retained in the uterus. So proper treatment, curating, cleaning of uterus or injection oxytocin, that subsides the condition. Thrombosis is because of the coagulation, increased coagulation after delivery, that causes the thrombus in blood vessel, and if this thrombus usually stuck in the lower extremity and causes edema, pain on the legs. And if we give proper anticoagulants, injectable or oral form, that will remove this thrombus. Or next is embolism, but it's an emergency condition and usually does not noticed in early stage, and it leads to maternal death. Breast complications are very common complications. Cracked nipples, engorgement of breast, retracted nipples, all these things are seen because of the faulty habits of breastfeeding. If mother is a primary patient and she does not know the proper technique, then all these complications can occur. So proper counseling of patient is also necessary. If at all there is improper hygiene from patient, so that can set infection, and acute mastitis or breast abscess can develop. That needs antibiotic and analgesic. If no, it is not treated, abscess if does not subsides with the injectable things or oral things, then we have to drain that abscess. Incision and drainage of that abscess is required. So proper technique of breastfeeding should be advised in ANC as well as during PNC period. This period, puerperium period, is also called as PNC, postnatal care. Likewise in ANC we have to also do the counseling of patient in PNC. In PNC, counseling about her proper diet, proper exercise, proper rest, proper maintaining of hygiene, genital hygiene as well as breast hygiene. how to do the proper breastfeeding, schedule of breastfeeding. After complete 3 months breastfeeding is required. 3 to 4 months breastfeeding, only breastfeeding, no water or anything should be added, and importance of breastfeeding should be explained to her. And after that, weaning is started. Like we introduced the food, semi-solid food or liquid food initially to baby. So all these things should be counseled to that patient in PNC period. During this period, patient should be also counseled for any abnormality, like if she have fever, if she have pain in abdomen, if she have increased discharges or bleeding during this period, if she have edema on legs, pain in lower extremity, any heaviness or redness of breast or pain during breastfeeding. So all these abnormalities are also counseled during the PNC period, so that she can diagnose her condition and she can easily get the treatment. So that is about PNC, postnatal care or puerperium, normal. So this is about all the things which we need to be explained. In this period also, likewise in ANC, PNC also have very homeopathic remedies that can work, because if there is puerperial pyrexia, because of the fever, patient becomes weak and there is malaise, loss of appetite, loss of weight also takes place. So in that condition, we can give our remedies. In breast complication also, homeopathic remedies works well. In subinvolution, sometimes there is no underlying cause, there is no retained product, there is no atonicity, but just because of the some psychological factors or any other factors, there is subinvolution of uterus. In some patients, there may be fetal death. Baby is dead after delivery, and at that point patient have severe shock, psychological setback is there, and because of that also in some females there is subinvolution of uterus does not recede to normal stage, and there is continuous bleeding without any reason. There is no underlying cause, there is no retained product, no injury, nothing is there, but patient have this bleeding and subinvolution of uterus. So in all this condition, homeopathic treatment can do well. In thrombosis also, sometimes even after delivery, patient have large legs or edema on legs, huge enlargement of legs. Instead of giving this all the anticoagulants, still there is formation of this edema or legs or extremity enlargement can be seen. At that condition also we can give homeopathic remedies. So homeopathic treatment is advised for the PNC period. For increased breast milk, or in some female where there is very decreased, or some females they don't have proper breast milk, so for that also we can give our homeopathic remedies. So that is about puerperium or PNC.